Hello, my name is Todd Plymouth. I'm a science teacher at Eastport South Manor School District. I'd like to welcome you to a virtual open house. This is an Earth Science Regents course, and throughout the course, we're going to be learning about a vast amount of topics and material. We're going to be starting with mapping the planet Earth. We're going to move on to geology, the basics like rocks and minerals, which is going to develop into the changing processes of weathering, erosion, and deposition on Earth's crust. We're going to be learning about the history of the Earth going back billions of years. Then we're going to change gears and start talking about the atmosphere and water and climate and weather. And then to finish off the year, we are going to be talking about the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun and the impact of those bodies on us on the Earth, for example, tides and eclipses. And then we're going to go on to the deepest depths of our universe as we understand it. I'd like to thank you all for your involvement in the Eastport South Manor district community. I've been at Eastport South Manor for a number of years, and I've had the fortune of being able to watch the two communities really merge together as one district. I'd like to especially thank you for your involvement in your child's education. It is such an important factor in their academic and lifelong success. If you would like to contact me at any time this year, you can please call the school district, or the best way is to email me at plymouth@esmonline.org. Now, I know sometimes you'll have an issue that'll come up in the evening, and if I don't respond to it early in the morning, you could be focused and dwelling on it during the day. I make a point of checking email first thing in the morning, so if I don't get back to you immediately to answer that question for you, it's a rare occurrence. And I really try to check it multiple times a day as well. So please email me. Best way to contact us. This is a Regents course, and your children have taken Regents Living Environment before. This is very, very similar. They're going to need to complete 1,200 minutes of hands-on laboratory time and turn in completed laboratories to prove that to both myself and possibly New York State as well, should they choose to pull up the labs. If your child is falling behind on labs, I will notify you in January. There will be multiple letters sent home. It's 3 in total, one in late January, the next around late March, and the last one around late April, early May. I'll send out emails along with these official letters because I don't want to make you nervous. If you get the first letter, it's a simple email saying, your child has plenty of time. Please talk to them about it and make sure they're coming to extra help. The second letter will be more impactful and say it's very important. Now is the time for your child to come and attend extra help. The last email will state that it's urgent, and I will be after school every day for the 2 weeks before the due date for those laboratories. I've never had a student try to get the labs done and not be successful. During the first 2 quarters, what I would look out for is while you're checking parent portal, students are allowed to miss 1 laboratory exercise per quarter. If they're missing more than that, encourage them to come into extra help, not the week of a test where I can give them hands-on helpful assistance in that. The weeks before the test I'll talk about later, the extra help focus is entirely on the test coming up the next day. All right, our class routine. Every day when your children come in, I expect them to be in their seats when the bell rings, and there's always a beginning of period activity up on the board. We have interactive laboratory groups where your students will be collaborating with one another to get their laboratory work done. I use PowerPoint notes and give students handouts where they fill in a lot of the blanks with those. And I like short videos. As I said before, this is a lot of material in this course, so at most we'll be watching 2, 3, 5-minute videos that fit in with the lesson. I find these are very good, especially for people and children with short attention spans. We'll be having class discussions about current events, and at the end of every lesson and topic, I will have a review activity so to really focus in and ensure that your children are learning the material that we've gone over. The department grading for Earth Science, you can see it's really heavily dependent on tests and quizzes. The laboratory activities, homework, and class participation are each 10%, though that laboratory activity is very important because they need to get those 1,200 laboratory minutes. The tests being 50%, it's important. I'm not a big fan of having it that high, but I make adjustments to help out children who struggle with these standardized tests. There are test corrections, which children can do to then come in and retake the test. I'll give them a different version and I'll average the two grades. Um, Also, students can do extra credit, which can drop up to one test per quarter. Quizzes are 20% of your children's grade. I would focus on the quizzes to see if your child is studying and preparing outside of the classroom. Everything that's going to be covered in a quiz, your child will know about ahead of time so that they can prepare and study. What I found is if you see high test grades and low quiz grades, that means you've got a good test taker at home that's not doing a whole lot of extra work outside of class. If you have high quiz grades and lower test grades, that means you have a hard worker that may be struggling with those test questions. Please encourage your child to come to extra help, and I can work with them on that. So I organize the tests and the quizzes differently so you can really see what's going on. Tests for the standardized test and how well they are at the test taking, and the quizzes for how hard they're working. Um, I will allow, like I said, I will allow two extra credit assignments per quarter. Two will drop a test, or you can do one to drop up. One will drop a quiz, and a total of two quizzes can be dropped per quarter. Uh, the Eastport South Manor quarterly grades are weighted to emphasize the work that your child puts in during the first 4 quarters. They reach 22.5% for a grand total of 90%, with the final and the Regents exam having less of an emphasis, less of an impact, with 10% of their final grade. My expectations of students are primarily respect one another. After they respect each other, I expect them to be respectful of the materials and other people's belongings in class, and for the instructors as well. I need them to be on time and ready to learn. When the bell rings, I need them in their seat, looking at the front of the classroom for the beginning of period assignment, which they're supposed to do now. I need them to arrive with their materials ready. I will provide additional materials if they forget them, though this can slow down the class and makes it more challenging for them. If they need to, your child will have to take time outside of class to prepare for tests and quizzes. And I always tell your children that their health is priority number one. If they're not healthy, they cannot make it to school. And that's understandable. Family is number two. If there's a family emergency or a situation where they can't come to class, I understand. But school is number three. And if they need to be in school, nothing else should take precedence over that. I am really hoping that you can check Parent Portal weekly to keep on top of your children's grades. If there's a 0, I allow them to make up the work. I will take off points for being late, but I will never tell a child that they cannot turn in work. So if you're checking Parent Portal weekly, we can make sure that there's no surprises when marking period grades come out. My extra help will be in room 1620 every Thursday after school. Tests are on Friday, always, so this is a great time for them to prepare for tests. Weeks that we don't have tests, your children can come up and work with me. I can set up lab materials for them so that they can get that lab work done. If you check Schoology.com as well, in addition to, as I mentioned, Parent Portal before, talk to your children about this. It can be a little challenging to find the calendar, but every week I will post a calendar, a photo of what's in the classroom. It will include homework, quizzes, any upcoming events. You can also keep track of what topics we're covering. You can see that on Schoology.com every week. It will be updated. This year, phone and electronics usage, I'm changing things up a little bit. I've talked with administration about this. Your children will be provided opportunities to use their phones and electronic devices productively in class. This is something I expect them to learn and carry on to their professional and business life. We will be using phones for things like a Kahoot review of laboratory material. Students will be able to use their phones if they need to look something up. I do allow for emergency communication. So if your child lets me know ahead of time that they need to use their phone, I will allow it. If I notice it's becoming somewhat frequent at all, I'll let you know about it. And if it becomes a distraction in class, then I will contact you and we'll have to resolve that. But for emergencies, last minute things come up, I understand that phone use can be a very valuable tool to contact your children. If they are using their phone in class, I'm going to email you. If you get back to me and say, yes, please, take my child's phone if you see them using it and give it to the dean. I will not take your child's phone unless you give me explicit permission to do so. that is the virtual open house and the conclusion of it. Again, thank you so much for your involvement in your child's education. And if you have any questions, because we're not meeting face to face, please don't hesitate to email me at plymlt@esmonline.org. And I look forward to seeing you at parent teacher conferences. Thank you.